Hey friends, in today's video I want to talk about how in Destiny, as we get closer to the end of a season, start of a new expansion, the population obviously dies down, and that leads to a content lull, just not that much to do in the game, and this makes the community seem to be a little more nasty and hostile to each other, along with doom and gloom posts in my own Twitch chat, with the common question, I get this every single day, of how do you play this shitty game? And the answer is, I play all of the game, and I don't think it's shitty. While I do have dislikes that I'm going to get into in a second, I also like some things about the game that completely outweigh the dislikes. But to humor you, I'm going to say the dislikes, just know I'm on your team. If you have grievances about the game, I see them too. So starting with the dislikes, how easy PvE is. The loot system creating near impossible grinds. PvP balance changes taking too long while introducing new broken items constantly. The map pool and lack of objective modes. No clear identity on where casual and serious PvP should be. Note that skill-based matchmaking isn't just an on or off switch, it's a spectrum. So ideally, it should keep the tippy top from the very bottom away from each other, in terms of player skill. So when skill-based matchmaking is bad, it prevents high-skill players from experiencing the game at all when you consider queue times, lag, and group play. On the other end, it creates such a terrible experience for new players that they might not stay and be a player that adds to the population on the daily basis. And that matters a lot because that decline makes it worse for everybody. So there is a happy medium, and I don't know exactly what the answer is, but all I know is it's not completely an on or off switch. So moving on, there's also a small skill gap with too many low risk, easy execution, high reward options constantly in Destiny 2. Sometimes we have a brief period where that isn't the case, but most of the time there is an outlier that needs attention, and if it's in a lobby, it becomes virtually unplayable. So I could see how all of this leads to a negative community sentiment, but especially I noticed there's a negative community sentiment towards endgame players who want more meaningful content. Like, that doesn't have to come at a cost to accessibility. There could be an array of difficulty options to accommodate all kinds of players. There's also negative community sentiment in general. They might not realize that some developer creations don't necessarily take away from the development of other creations. For example, the Telesto malfunction joke going around right now doesn't take away from a future ranked playlist existing or any other PvE grievances. So I could go on with other dislikes, but I'd rather skip that and say that the few things I do like outweigh the dislikes. So here is what I like. Overall, the Halo-esque, PSO-esque world of Destiny that is an MMO arena first-person shooter. That to me is a perfect game setting, and it doesn't exist anywhere else. Nothing on the market that can even compare. The next huge thing that I like is PvP builds and learning and refining playstyles that let me outmaneuver PvP balance oversights, or builds that allow for something genuinely fun that outweighs the 100 times that the build didn't work. If you're puzzled by me saying this, then I think you might understand it better if you watch my illegal clip series where I post my PvP highlights. So now I can answer the question posed at the beginning of the video. Cammy, how do you play this shitty game? Well, to put together my most ambitious builds, I have to first come up with the concept, which could be a lot of private match testing. Then I have to put a basic version together and play long PvP sessions. Then, with that knowledge, I tune the build based on the knowledge and new skill acquisition. Then, now that I know what I need to complete the build, I go to acquire the min-max gear components, which can be a hella grind. I'm serious on this. I might chip away at it for multiple weekly resets or months at a time to get that exact god roll that makes a playstyle I know I will love and daily driver for years to be a reality. So then after I acquire the components, I play even more PvP to further tune. Was it as good as I thought it was? Is it as fun? Is it still fun a month later? Then I enjoy the newly earned skill, and I either win more matches or just go for more fun highlights. Then I take that knowledge learned and revisit old builds with a new lens, and the process after that repeats constantly. And that is how I can play this game every day. And while, yes, there are some PvE things that are really boring, that's not primarily what my focus is on. I have friends in a community that I talk to. I watch YouTube videos on the side. I learn new skills on the side. I enjoy music. But ultimately, in this endgame gameplay loop, to accomplish this, I have to play all of Destiny 2. And that means I have to interact with all sorts of different players to complete activities, learn information, and find players that are willing to practice against so we could both get better and tune our builds, have more fun. So from start to finish, I could spend 300 hours on a build, some of which I still enjoy daily, but when the PvP population and matchmaking settings aren't ideal, I usually shift from playing the game to acquiring new stuff for the future and learning more about the game. So I hope that answers your question. I genuinely like this game, but that doesn't mean that I am not aware of its flaws and that I won't champion for things that make the game better overall, as well as better developer community interaction. I also should mention, I'm not making this video to tell you to play Destiny 2. If you're burned out of the game and don't like the game at all, you don't have to play. You respectfully state your piece, commentary on the game, and then go play other games that do interest you. And if you don't have any games that interest you, start exploring more games. Maybe gaming overall just isn't for you anymore and you need to pick up a different hobby. I do play other games. I play PSO, Phantasy Star Online, as my other MMO to get the PvE that I wish Destiny had. That's what I do. And I kind of gave up on first-person shooter games. So while I would play something like Halo Infinite or Call of Duty, I don't really like the overall state of FPS games right now, so if I want my competitive fix, I'll go get my ass handed to me in a fighting game, and I play a couple of those. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention another game I play frequently. This is like the game that I either play in between queues in Destiny 2 when something boring happens in game and I have to fill the time. I play Osu, that's a rhythm game. And the best part about it is I can make it as social or as independent as I want to. If I want to play multis with other friends, I'm still not necessarily competing against them. I'm still competing against myself. But it's a great way to socialize with your friends and learn other musical tastes that you might not know you have. So if you're wondering what I was playing in the background of this video, it's a Destiny game where I turn it up to 11. The enemy team doesn't like that and leaves. And then the opponent starts jumping off the map. So I assume that they've just given up. So I start playing Osu until the match ends. Then they start wasting our time deliberately for some reason. And so I just start trying to win the match and hope that my teammates don't throw. It was not a very enjoyable match, but I thought it was appropriate background footage for this topic. Yeah, I wasn't happy that they wasted time and made me have the tab out of Osu when I could have just been playing the game. Not very cool. That aside, whoever's listening to this, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will try my best to stream today.